I wasn't supposed to see the message. Julian's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower, and I glanced at it without thinking. We never hid our phones from each other. We never had to. The screen lit up. Can't wait to have you all to myself again. The island is perfect. My heart skipped. The island. Julian had told me this trip was a business retreat. A quick break. Meetings. Investors. Stress. I stood there staring at the screen, my reflection trembling in the dark glass of his phone. I told myself I was overthinking. I always did that when he traveled. Billionaire schedules were complicated, right? But something about that message didn't sit right. That night, as he slept beside me, breathing slow and peaceful, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. By morning, I had made a decision that would change everything. I was going to surprise my husband on his vacation. I booked a flight in secret. Packed a small suitcase. Told myself this would be romantic, me showing up unannounced, reminding him that no matter how rich or powerful he became, he still had a wife who loved him. I had no idea what I was really walking into. Because when I finally arrived at that island, nothing went the way I imagined. The flight felt longer than it should have. Every mile closer to the island, my excitement battled with a quiet fear I didn't want to name. I replayed our last phone call in my head, how rushed he sounded, how quickly he said goodbye. When the plane finally landed, warm air wrapped around me like a welcome I wasn't sure I deserved. The resort was breathtaking. White sand. Crystal water. Luxury everywhere. The kind of place meant for people who never worried about money or consequences. At the entrance I smiled at the receptionist and said confidently, "I'm here to see my husband. Julian Collins." She paused. Her smile didn't fade, but it changed. And that's when my stomach dropped. Because before she could say another word, a voice behind me laughed softly. A laugh I knew far too well. I turned slowly. That laugh, it wasn't close enough to touch, but it cut through the air like a knife. Julian's laugh. The one that used to wake me up on Sunday mornings when he was in a good mood. But when I faced the direction it came from, I didn't see him. Instead, I saw her. Tall. Blonde. Sunglasses resting casually on her head. She stood a few steps behind me, scrolling through her phone like she owned the place. A silk cover-up floated around her legs, and the bracelet on her wrist probably cost more than my car. She glanced up, met my eyes for half a second, then smiled. Not warmly. Not rudely either. Just confidently. The receptionist cleared her throat. "Miss," she said gently, "may—" No one spoke. The sea breeze brushed past us, carrying laughter from somewhere far away, like the island was mocking me. Julian took a step toward me, then stopped, like he wasn't sure he had the right. "What are you doing here?" he asked quietly. I laughed, but it came out wrong. Broken. "I came to surprise my husband." Elena slipped her sunglasses back on and leaned against the counter like she had all the time in the world. "You didn't tell me you were married," she said calmly, not looking at me, looking at him. Julian ran a hand through his hair. "This isn't the place," he muttered. "We should talk privately." "Privately?" I nodded slowly. "Of course. Lead the way." "To your villa." As we walked across the resort, I noticed things I hadn't before. The way staff greeted Elena by name. The way Julian walked slightly ahead of me, something he had never done before. We reached the villa. 2 suitcases stood by the door. One was mine. The other wasn't. And that's when I realized this island didn't just feel wrong. I didn't belong here anymore. The villa door closed behind us with a soft click. Too soft for something that loud. Julian stood near the window, staring out at the ocean like it could save him. Elena leaned against the couch, calm, unreadable. I stayed where I was, my hands shaking, my heart racing, feeling like a stranger in a life that used to be mine. So I said finally, breaking the silence. How long? Julian didn't answer. Elena did. 6 months, she said smoothly. On and off. Mostly on. The room tilted. I looked at him, waiting for denial. For anger. For him to tell her to stop talking. Instead, he exhaled slowly. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, he said. I laughed. Again, that broken laugh. No? Was it supposed to happen better? He finally turned to me. His eyes, as I trusted more than anyone, couldn't hold mine. I didn't plan to hurt you. That's the problem, I whispered. You planned everything else. Elena straightened, folding her arms. You deserve the truth, she said, almost kindly. Julian told me your marriage was complicated. I stepped closer to her, my voice calm but shaking. Did he also tell you I waited for him when he had nothing? That I believed in him before the money, before the power, before this island? She hesitated. Julian closed his eyes. That's enough, he said. No, I replied softly. It's not. I turned back to him. You said this was a business trip. He nodded. At first, it was. And then? And then, he said quietly, I wanted to see who I was without expectations. Without me. The words hurt more than the betrayal. I loved you, I said. Not the billionaire. Not the lifestyle. You. His voice cracked. I know. That was when I realized something terrifying. Knowing wasn't enough. I picked up my suitcase. Julian stepped forward. Amara, wait. We can fix this. I looked at him one last time. The man I built a life with. The man who chose secrecy over honesty. Some things don't need fixing, I said. They need ending. I walked out of the villa without looking back. And as the door closed behind me, I felt something unexpected. Not heartbreak. Freedom. Not so long ago, Julian and I had nothing but each other. We shared one bed, one dream, and endless promises. He used to say my belief in him was his greatest wealth. I believed him. Standing there on that island, I realized the truth. The man I loved didn't disappear. He just chose a different life, one that no longer included me. Later that evening, I saw her again. Elena sat by the infinity pool, legs crossed, laughing softly as Julian leaned close to whisper something in her ear. The way he looked at her, carefree, unburdened, was the same way he used to look at me. She noticed me watching. Instead of looking away, she smiled slowly, then rested her hand on his arm. That was the moment I understood. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A choice. Julian's laugh, low, relaxed, intimate, drifting across the pool like it belonged to someone else now. Elena leaned in close, her lips brushing his ear, and he didn't pull away. He pulled her closer. My chest tightened but my face stayed calm. Watching them felt like standing in fire without screaming. That laugh used to be mine. Now it wasn't asking for permission. Julian looked up. Our eyes locked across the pool. Time froze. His smile vanished, replaced by panic, guilt, and something worse, relief, like the secret was finally exposed. Elena followed his gaze and turned slowly, her eyes meeting mine. She smirked. Julian stood up immediately. Amara. I raised a hand. No, I said softly. I see everything now. And in that moment, I stopped feeling like his wife. And started feeling dangerous. Julian followed me down the corridor, his footsteps rushed, desperate. I was going to end it, he said. I just needed time. I stopped and turned to him. Time to choose. He looked away. That's all the answer I need. Elena appeared behind him, silent now, watching. For the first time, she didn't look confident. She looked unsure. I didn't come here to fight, I said calmly. I came for the truth. Julian swallowed. I love you. I nodded. You love the version of me that stayed quiet. The next morning, I left the island alone. No tears. No drama. Just clarity. As the boat pulled away, I felt lighter than I had in months. Losing him hurt, but losing myself would have hurt more. I didn't know what the future held. But I knew one thing for sure. I would never beg to be chosen again.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and drop a comment below.